Up to this point, there is not a whole lot that we know about the characters in Black Ops Cold War. Obviously, we know about Gregory Weaver from earlier games, but we don't know a whole lot about a lot of the other characters, and more specifically, we do not know a whole lot about the new Samantha Maxis. And while we read in the 115-day intel that Samantha has been captured by the Omega group, I think there's a lot more going on than just that. I think that Samantha has a nasty plan, and I want you to hear about it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Spesh. If you guys like Cold War content, including zombies especially, this is the place that you're going to want to be. So go ahead and drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's talk about what I think is going to be happening throughout the Dark Aether storyline. So we know that Samantha was captured. We also know that there is a mole in the Omega operation who has been feeding Requiem secrets. Now, on all the pictures where it said M, blah, 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 R, right? M, like Omega has developed a power source, you know what I mean? And then it says R. We're all assuming that that R stands for Richtofen. And we haven't seen Eddie yet. We have not seen Eddie in this story yet. So it is incredibly interesting to me to think if this is R and if he's working for Omega and Samantha's working for Requiem, there's a lot of possibilities here. Especially if you think about it, if you go back to the opening cutscene for D Machina, and with Samantha in the telephone booth, and we see this guy walk by who people have been theorizing was Richtofen, and then he drives away after her. What if, now hear me out, alright? What if Samantha and Richtofen are working together? And I don't mean they're just working together like Richtofen is giving her Omega secrets and maybe she's feeding him Requiem secrets. But what if they have their own nasty plan? Something that just involves those two, and they both got in on either side of the war to basically gain intel about like how they can access the Dark Aether and all these things. I mean, to be honest, who's to say that Samantha is good? With everything that she's been through, especially now that she sees that all this is basically, she's already been through all this stuff once. So now that she sees that this very well could be happening again, what's stopping her? And obviously we know that Richtofen always was thirsty for power. Like, what is stopping the two of them from working together to basically trying to find a way to control the Dark Aether and become these all-powerful beings? At one point or another, they both, even though these are not the same characters per se, they both felt that power. Like after the moon Easter egg, when Richtofen and Samantha basically switched over power of the ether. So they have both had control over the zombies and over basically all of this stuff. And it's incredibly interesting to think about the fact that maybe that's exactly what they want again. Sure, it's all this stuff about the Cold War and how, America and Russia are going at it and they all have these nuclear superpowers, and then on top of that you have the Dark Aether, and then trying to basically the two superpowers trying to duke it out to see who can win the arms race with the Dark Aether. But that doesn't mean that Samantha and Richtofen don't have ulterior motives, and by working for both Requiem and Omega, they can stay up to date, especially because it sounds like, at least in Samantha's terms, she is a high-ranking official in Requiem. If it is Richtofen, we just know that he is a mole in the group. We don't know, what his his actual title is. But we can assume that he's also rather high-ranking in the group to be at all these facilities. So with them both infiltrating these groups, it would be incredibly easy for them to basically... They have people helping them, then those people don't even know it. These people are, like Weaver and Carver and all of them, and Dr. Strauss even. In Requiem, he is quite literally, they're all quite literally feeding Samantha different intel, different secrets about what is going on in the war and in between Requiem and Omega. And then same goes for Richtofen, especially, he was in Dr. William Peck's quarters, and, Peck was really basically into finding out how to control the Ethereum crystals, and it sounds like Omega has found a way to control the portals. And if that's true, while maybe R is feeding all this intel to Requiem, he's also only feeding specific intel to Samantha. So like the idea of us going to Firebase Z is that we're going to quote unquote meet or rendezvous with an informant within the Omega group. But when R gives all this information, like all the pictures we see, it's specifically just to M, who we assume is Samantha Maxis. So if that's the case, maybe like the pictures that we have seen, like maybe the rest of Requiem hasn't seen them, and only Samantha has. And they have their own plans to basically try and take over the Dark Aether and come out on top of both the Soviets and America. And again, there's so little that we know about this storyline that I feel like having Samantha end up being evil, because obviously throughout the original storyline it was kind of hit or miss. You know what I mean? I mean, she was kind of evil because she like controlled the zombies and whatnot, but I mean in the end she ended up being, you know, pure, and she was turned evil because of the Dark Aether and being just stuck in the ether in general and all this good stuff. So what's to say that that's not what she wants again? So with that being said, I mean, she was just captured by Omega, and they just kind of like, I mean, that was just something that just kind of happened. You know, we had no idea. We heard nothing about any of this until 115 day in the blog post, which that seems like, it seems like something that should be really significant. You know what I mean? Like, Samantha is captured by the enemy, and it seems like it should be something very significant, but it's literally like a sentence in the blog post. So what if Samantha wanted to be captured by Omega? What if Samantha wanted to be there with Omega because her and R have their own plans with that specific facility and the transportation, going in and out of the Dark Aether and harvesting the crystals? What if they have their own plans for that? And so she let herself be captured, knowing full well that R was going to be there, and then they could enact their plan right then and there. And now Weaver and the rest of Requiem, they're all going in to try and save her. But it's incredibly possible that we don't see Maxis at all, or Samantha at all, because her and R could find their way into the Dark Aether and try and find their way to control it, especially if Omega has the ability to harness it as well as they say they do. Samantha and R, I mean, Samantha and Richthofen could very easily use that data for their own personal gain and take over. There's still so much that we don't know about this storyline, and I'm going to be covering it all here. So if you want to click on this video on the side, it is going to tell you everything that we know leading up to Firebase Z. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it made your day better. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. It is incredibly fun, and I will see you guys soon.